Tonight's special guest is Roy Lilley. Roy is an example of the thousands of New Zealanders who donate their time and energy to help our young athletes reach the Olympics. Last Friday evening at the Trust Stadium in Waitakere City, the Beat Goes On visited the 15th Awards of the Don Oliver Youth Sport Foundation. It's a baby boomer salute to the 13 medals won by our Olympic team. We welcome Roy Lilley as our special guest on The Beat Goes On. Roy Lilley, welcome to The Beat Goes On.
Real pleasure to be here.
Wonderful to have you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
The Olympics, weren't they great?
Absolutely fantastic.
Didn't New Zealand do well?
They did. Very proud. Even though I'm not, you'll know by my accent, I'm not a natural New Zealander. I'm now a naturalised New Zealander, and very proud of the team.
Well, we could pause here to tell our viewers that accent belongs to
Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. Mm-hmm. But you haven't been there for a while, have you?
Nice little quiet place called Belfast, which during the 60s and the baby boomer was a very quiet little place.
Were you caught running down the street throwing stones at any of that stage?
I tried to stay away from that. Yeah. I was in an area where Catholics and Protestants got on well together, and we had a mixed football team, which caused lots of problems, but I stayed away from all of that nonsense.
But that's a great thing that you've just said there. Of course, the news media are going to blow it out of all proportion that the Catholics and the Protestants hated each other, but there were many areas in Northern Ireland where they all got on very well,
absolutely, didn't they? And still do today, and have done for centuries, And when you've grown up from people from the day you were born, you can't suddenly turn around and some politician tells you have to hate them. I mean, that's just ridiculous,
Now, another great thing about you being on the programme today, Roy, is that you're a baby boomer.
I was a baby boomer and very proud of it, and perhaps the greatest time in history of perhaps since the Renaissance.
Keep it coming.
Yeah.
What a great generation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was like in New Zealand. We were told that anything that happened in Britain, it would happen 10 years later in New Zealand. So maybe if my baby boom years were the 60s, it was the 70s here, but you would know a bit more about that.
So what was the decision to, you must have looked at the World Atlas and said, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Why New Zealand?
Well, I met a lovely woman who lived in the northeast of England, and I went to live over there. And that was the time, coming out of the baby boomers, we got hit with Margaret Thatcher. And the area that I taught in had 95% unemployment. 95% in the estate where I worked, and all the problems that go with that. And the temperature one winter was minus 24 degrees centigrade. And we decided there'd got to be somewhere better. So the furthest place away from that is New Zealand, and that's where we came.
Did you actually base it on that, the furthest place away?
No. We looked at a lot of places. We looked at Australia, and then we looked at the spiders, the snakes, full of alligators and poisonous insects, and it's full of Australians, so we decided not to go there.
So you decided on little old New Zealand.
Little old New Zealand.
How long have you been here now, Roy?
1988, 24 years.
You're a Kiwi now?
I'm a Kiwi. Yeah. First opportunity I took out citizenship.
Oh, good on you.
Because I believe that,
Now, also what you are, you're the principal of the Bruce McLaren Intermediate in Henderson, aren't you?
Best little school in West Auckland.
Waitakere. Now, tell us, how did it all happen that a school is called the Bruce McLaren? Because normally they don't name schools after people, do they?
No.
So how did that happen?
Well, Bruce McLaren was a great hero.
He was, wasn't he?
I believe he's an even greater hero than Sir Edmund Hillary, which is not to put down Sir Edmund, and I'll explain that in a minute. But when Bruce McLaren died tragically, he was just doing practicing laps at Goodwood in England, and he never came back. And they had to go out, and there they found he had crashed and he was dead, which was a real tragedy. And he lived in Te Atatu out west. And even when he was off around the world, his family and friends kept the garage and the house going out there. And the local people asked for a street to be named after him, Bruce McLaren Road. And then the school asked to change its name to Bruce McLaren. And the whole school is now dedicated to the history and the philosophy of Bruce McLaren. And proudly so.
Yeah. But you're here today, Roy, because of the fact that we've had the Olympics. New Zealand, it's really a baby boomer tribute to our athletes. 13 medals and 6 of them are gold. And you're also not only the principal of the Bruce McLaren Intermediate, but you're also very much involved with the Don Oliver Youth Sport Foundation. And what I wanted to do tonight to talk about this was right throughout New Zealand, in this wonderful country of ours, there's many organisations like the Don Oliver Sport Foundation, all doing great work for our youth, which means that the work that you put in today, it's going to pay off 2016, 2020, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So tell us, how did you get involved with the Don Oliver Youth Sport Foundation?
Okay, being an Irishman, there's always a story. I felt after 7 years teaching in New Zealand, I felt I needed a break. And I went into real estate, and I trained as an auctioneer. And then when I come back, Kerry Tizard knew me as an auctioneer and asked if I could help out doing charity auctions and fundraising auctions for Don Oliver, which I was very happy to do. I did it for several years. And then this year they came to me and asked me would I like to be on the board. And I was very honoured to become a trustee this year. And that's how it happened. I was shoulder tapped, you might say.
So what do you know about, that you could tell our viewers about Don Oliver, his life and how the trust was formed?
Well, Don Oliver was a great Olympian. I think it was 2 Olympics he went to. Weightlifting champion, Great West Auckland, a great believer in youth, and very supportive of youth and all sport, not just his own sport. And again, just like Bruce McLaren, he died young. And Bruce McLaren's commemorated with the Bruce McLaren Trust. And a lot of his fellow friends and athletes and Olympians at the time got together with his wife, and they decided to keep his memory alive by setting the trust. And they set the trust, and it was the foundation. And they set it for a particular reason. Because once young athletes or sports people of any sort, it's not just Olympics and Commonwealth Games, but once those young sports people hit the top, there's stacks of funding. There's lots of funding. It comes in from everywhere, from the government, from organisations, from businesses, from Spark. But it's getting to that elite level is the difficulty.
So there's that period from about 15 through to about 22. There's those 6 years where there's no funding. You've got to make a name for yourself, and then they'll start giving you funding. So you decided to do something about that. And could this be a model for the rest of New Zealand, what Don Oliver's done here, do you think?
Well, that was last Friday, the 17th of August, at the Trust Stadium in West Auckland. A wonderful, wonderful facility. We had the whole place packed. The young sports people themselves were there with their families, their schools were there, they're supporting them, their colleges, and local business. And local business have been really, really good. For 15 years, the business people of Waitakere have really stood up and supported these young people because they see the dividend. I mean, in the 15 years that these have been going, they've seen kids of 14 or 15 become Olympic champions, world champions. If you take someone like Justin Dougal, who was one of the early recipients, who went on to become the world trampolining champion.
Now, without your support, he mightn't have gone on, because the only support they've been getting is their parents.
That's right.
And sometimes the parents don't have that sort of money, do they?
Oh, the contribution by the parents to a young, successful sports person is outstanding.
But they just want that little bit of help.
They do.
From that young age.
They do. You see, the problem is being a little island. If you were in Europe, you just go across the border and you're into another country and you get top competition. But for these kids to get the top competition that they need to go to the next level, they have to go to America, Europe, Australia, Canada.
Expensive.
And which is very expensive, you know. And then they have to take their support crew with them. You know, you take young Daniel Medham, who's a motorbike rider, who's one of the best junior motorbike riders in the world. He's only 15. But to take the motorbike and his family and everything around the world, because he has to build up the points at each race. And if he can't miss a race. It's the same with the equestrians.
So you're at the stage now where it's been going for 15 years. What sort of money would you have given to the athletes last Friday night?
Last Friday night we gave out $49,000.
$49,000. That's wonderful.
You know, and that grows each year because obviously 15 years ago, $1,500 went a long way.
Yeah.
Nowadays the gold award is $5,000. And $5,000, as you said earlier, can make that difference, just to make that next
Just to
step
help
up.
mum and dad. So what a great model for New Zealand, the Don Oliver Youth Sport Foundation. The business community getting together and helping children in that young sports people in that vital age from about 15 to 22. As you say before, they prove themselves and the money starts pouring in from other directions.
You know, we've got a healthy bank balance because of all of our fundraising and the support we've got, and we will continue to do it. As long as there's young people in New Zealand, young sports people, ready to make the next step up. And we hope, we don't put a label on them, we don't put a tattoo on their head, but every time there's an Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games, World Championships, whether it's the Black Sox or whether it's trampolining or whether it's judo, one of that team will be a Waitakere kid with a Don Oliver scholarship. And one other thing that's really, really important, and I do want to stress this, there are many, many charitable organisations that have professional organisers and professional administrators, and therefore a certain percentage of everything they raise has to go to that. Everybody in Don Oliver is a volunteer. Everybody at that dinner, you were at the dinner, everybody involved was a volunteer. And therefore every dollar we raise goes to the kids. We don't take money off to pay for anything. If there's any money needs to be done, it comes out of our pocket, or it comes from sponsorship to try and help those things.
There you were last Friday night, Roy, with your auctioneer skills.
Yes.
That raised quite a packet, didn't it?
It did, yes. I'm very pleased.
And I think that's why we end up with 13 medals, isn't it?
That's right.
Because the support's there for the kids.
Yep, the kids know that. And as I say, small country, only 4 million people. There's only a certain amount of money in the country.
Yeah.
But it's amazing the way New Zealanders will step up and help kids if they see the potential. And it's amazing how the kids reach the potential if they're given that little bit of help. Bit difficult during a recession, but as you saw on Friday night, those people had paid for the dinner. Yeah. Those people had already contributed as sponsors, and they still dipped their hand in their pocket for the auction and the live auction and silent auction, which is great.
Well, it's our baby boomer tribute to our wonderful Olympic athletes that did such a wonderful job. What the grassroots New Zealand are doing to achieve those wonderful 13 medals.
It's great. And if I can just say something, one of the big things that has happened in recent years, which I've seen since I came to New Zealand, is the development of sports academies and sports directors in the high schools. Because maybe 20, 30 years ago, sport was just amateur totally, and it wasn't a career, it was a pastime. But now sport is a major career for lots of kids, and the high schools are doing their bit. Yes. So you've now got that link between the schools and Don Oliver. And what we're hoping to do is not just give the kids money. One of my jobs is to come on and offer mentoring and set up mentoring seminars and courses. And a lot of ex-athletes have said, hey, we want to help, we want to help. Simon Bucknell said, I want to get on board with that. So people who have been to the Olympics, people who have been to the World Championships will come and mentor these kids, which I think is fantastic. 2016
in Brazil, we're going to go from 13 to 20 medals.
Yeah, hope so.
And it will all be because of the help of organisations throughout New Zealand like the Don Oliver.
Well, we hope that if there's 13 gold medals, 7 or 8 of them will be from West Auckland. Good Waitakere kids.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.